Being prepared means being diversified. Our portfolios in general are not diversified. True diversification gives us that sense of stability and security. And today I will talk about one primary component that should be part of everyone's portfolio. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today I'm going to get into something that people ask me nearly every single day through comments, through emails, and that is, what do we do about precious metals? Are we at the top of that bull market and head downwards? Or is this the ultimate bottom? Will there be nothing but higher prices from here on out? So let's get into it today. Number one, where are we in the bull market? Well, nobody ever knows that until we look at it back in the pages of history. But when we talk about the price is something that I suggest people ignore. Now that would seem a little bit silly as an investment, but the way I look at gold and silver is, you are taking something which has intrinsic value and you are trying to maintain that generation to generation. If you are purchasing gold today and you expect that the price will hit, let's say, 2,000 by the end of the year, and then you want to sell it, that is more of a speculative purchase. And that's something that I really don't get into. I look at it as passing wealth down from generation to generation. A lot of people in the West don't agree with that, but that is what many Eastern cultures do. They give gold coins at weddings and other times when that's how they would basically give gifts. They give gold, high carat jewelry, in fact. We're just looking at basically taking wealth and passing it along, and that keeps wealth within those different families. That's what they do. But if you do this as an individual, you could then be able to preserve that. That's essentially the goal. Now, what about the price? What is gold at right now? Whether it's at 1,200 or whether it's at 1,000 or 2,000, ultimately what we're talking about is paper. We are not talking about the actual commodity. This commodity doesn't have the ability to actually be priced accurately in the way that they do it, because as we have found out, these commodities have been manipulated. We know that. It's a fact. It's confirmed. That is, an absolute fact. Can they continue it forever? I don't know how long it can go on for, but ultimately it seems like they can pursue this for quite some time. Many suggest that at some point it will break free. I don't know. To me, that doesn't even matter. I don't even factor that in. All I do is have a little bit of gold and silver, different denominations, different sizes, different types, and then I hold it there and not worry about it. I don't worry about the price. I don't worry about it going up or down. Now, if you have everything riding on it, all your eggs in one basket, as they say, then you run into a much more of a difficult situation. I don't recommend that. That's what diversification is all about. So let me just talk about this for a second here. I believe that we need to be fully diversified. When you go to a generally financial advisor, they tell you you want a diversified portfolio, and they take you and they put you in mutual funds, they put you in the bonds, they put you in the stocks, they put you in US equities, Canadian equities, and then they say you are diversified. You've got everything in here. And that is just a fraud. And that's what I see all the time. It's really sad that people think, I've got a diversified portfolio, and they talk about it like they got their chin up high and they walk around and they feel that they're great and everything. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, and ultimately people will learn the hard way, and they continuously do learn the hard way. However, what we need is a bit of everything, and I think that's a great strategy to have. But now, let's just quickly, you want to have some precious metals. You want to have perhaps a very small amount of cryptocurrencies. I'm talking very small. And that would allow just a means of transaction should there be some sort of scenario where the monetary supply is disrupted and you and I can exchange between each other. Forget about the financial establishments. Forget about businesses and everything else. That's for you and I. That's the goal anyway. I think maybe 5% or even less of that would be something reasonable. That's just what I think about. I don't like to talk about percentages necessarily, but think about it as a very, very small piece. Then we look at stocks. Do you want to invest in stocks? That's up to you. If you're going to do so, then I highly recommend those which give dividends, because at least it's paying out on a dividend. Every single month or quarter or annually or whatever it happens to be, you can get a paycheck, and that's great. But if you're just waiting on appreciation, you're speculating, and that isn't part of the Money GPS strategy. It is all about paying off your expenses, okay? So that's stocks. Then we get into, corporate bonds. I think corporations will outlast governments, and that would be better than a government bond. I'm just not really into that paper assets at this time. I just think it's very risky. But, if you feel like you should, then by all means. And another thing would be real estate. Now, a lot of people talk about real estate as being too expensive. It depends on where you live, there's no doubt. However, think small. I'll talk about that just very briefly. Think small. Don't think you need to buy a house. Don't think you need to buy a bungalow and split it and everything else. I talk about this a lot in my book about diversification and how you can use a much smaller amount of money to actually get into the real estate market. And I'm not talking speculation, and there's more in there if you're interested. I just say think small, that's all. And then we look at businesses. Businesses, you can start with nothing. You can start a business today with absolutely nothing. And there are many, many of those businesses, again, in my first book, actually. So if you're interested in the Think Small, that's in my second book. The businesses are in my first book that I talk about. But essentially, what you need to do is use your passion, use your desires, and build from it. At the beginning, you will make nothing. You will have to basically be scrounging by, but I assure you, you can do so, okay? So these are some of the things. You want to be able to get into all different avenues, but more importantly than all of this, think about this. If you took $50,000 and you put it into your 401k or RSP or super, depending on where you live, you would be essentially waiting until you are 65 to start pulling that money out. Now you are donating that money to the bank, and in order that, 30 years or 40 years or whatever it is down the road, you'll be able to pull that money out. Well, what about instead you went, and this is part of my newest book, where you put solar panels up on your roof, $50,000 worth of solar panels. You would be able to never have to pay another electricity bill ever again. Now, isn't that more secure than any investment? I don't need to worry about the price of gold. I don't need to worry about what my stocks are doing, how they're appreciating. All I need to know is that my electricity is being paid for. The electricity gets stored into a battery, and there it is. It's all good. I don't have to worry. But many people, they're always looking over their shoulder. They're always concerned. What's my stock? What are my stocks doing? What are my investments doing? Is Bitcoin up today or down? A lot of people make a lot of money from that, and that's great. However, think about something like solar panels, where you can put them up on your roof. You could store the energy into a battery and never have to pay those bills again. That is what I call the Money GPS strategy. I get into more about it in the book. But anyway, think about those type of things where they would reduce your expenses, and then you would never have to pay these bills. And that's what we're doing. We work, we want to invest so that we can make money, so that we can pay off our bills. But why not have less bills in the first place? Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Well, that's my whole strategy. I hope you found this video informative. I know I've sort of skirted around the answer, but what I think about precious metals, all I will say is that don't worry about the price. We don't know what the billionaires, the elites, the technocrats, what they're going to do. I certainly don't know, but I know that having a small amount in the portfolio is something beneficial. It's wise. So if you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up and check out my website, themoneygps.com, where I have tons of free stuff. I got the free eCourse on there. I have the free ebooks on there, and I would highly recommend that you check it out, themoneygps.com. Take care.